Hi again, it's David Goldberg, and today we are going to talk about appraisal waivers. So first off, it's important to understand the definition of an appraisal waiver. And there's technically two different ways to waive an appraisal. The first is by the lender. So on a conventional loan, when we run the loan through Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac's automated underwriting system, either desktop underwriter or loan prospector, we receive findings, and either Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac either accept the value that we entered, the purchase price, typically, or in a refinance, it could be the appraised value estimate that we enter. And Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac accept that value, giving an appraisal waiver. And what that means is the lender is not required to do an appraisal on the property. The value is accepted based on the data they have on the home itself, the neighborhood, other recent sales in the area, meaning you probably negotiated a fair contract price and there's no real question on the value. This saves a lot of time and is money as well. You don't have to pay for an appraisal, and we instantly know the value, so there's no issues with the contract all of a sudden a week or two down the road finding out the appraisal came in low. So when a lender issues an appraisal waiver, it's a great tool, and it's a win for everybody. Seller, buyer, lender. Makes the process go through a lot quicker. In those loans, we can close purchase loans without an appraisal in 2 weeks. No issues at all. There's a second type of appraisal waiver that you as the buyer control. And that's when you write into your contract that you're waiving the right to an appraisal. Now, that doesn't mean that no appraisal is required, because we as the lender, if we don't receive the appraisal waiver from Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, again, this is for conventional loans only, if we don't receive the appraisal waiver, then we require the appraisal to close the loan, no matter what the contract reads. And in the case of where you're waiving the right to the appraisal, if the value on the actual appraisal comes in lower than the price, that means you have to come up with the difference, because you're already telling the seller that you're accepting that price no matter what, and you're willing to pay whatever you need to do to get that loan to close. So let's just put it in easy numbers and say a purchase price of $500,000 and you were putting 10% down. So a loan of $450,000. Well, what if the appraisal only comes in at $450,000 instead of $500,000? Well, the lender is not going to finance 10% down on the $500,000 price. They're going to finance 10% down on the $450,000 appraised value, the lower of the appraised value and the purchase price. And then you would have to come up with the difference between that loan amount, $450,000 less 10%, and the actual $500,000 purchase price in additional down payment. It cannot be financed into the loan. So waiving your appraisal right can be a little bit scary. Now, there's ways to structure it where it's not so bad. You can put limits into the contract saying, we'll waive the appraisal and we'll cover any appraisal gap shortage of, say, $20,000 or $10,000 or $50,000, whatever you're comfortable with. But if it comes in, if the gap is greater than that amount, then you don't have to cover the difference. You only cover the difference up to that shortage. So that's one way you can still waive the appraisal, but also protect your downside in case of a low appraisal. Now, in this current market, we haven't been seeing too many issues with low appraisals, although I think the market's going to slow down here, and we may start seeing that if the sellers don't catch up with the reality of the market and keep the prices higher than what they should be. So we'll see how that goes in the future. But typically on a conventional loan, when you're putting down 20% or more, you have a pretty good chance of an appraisal waiver if there's data on that property. Less than 20%, it's very rare. 5%, you're not going to get an appraisal waiver. So that's important to remember too. And again, appraisal waiver from the lender. So be very careful when you're structuring your purchase contract. If you're waiving your right to an appraisal, understand what that really means. And if anyone tells you, like a real estate agent or another lender, if they say, oh, yeah, we don't require appraisals, we waive our appraisals, that's a bunch of baloney. That's not true, because it's not the lender or the loan officer or the real estate agent that controls whether the lender requires an appraisal. It's all based on Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac's automated underwriting findings. There's no control that anyone else has in the process. It's all automated. So anyone telling you differently is flat out lying to you. So if you have any questions about when you're structuring your offer to buy the house, how you want to word an appraisal contingency, let me know. I'm happy to go through the process with you and answer any questions you have. And then if we get lucky and get an appraisal waiver from Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, then even better, we know we're in great shape. Have a terrific day and talk to you soon. Thanks.